Do you see that person walking? His name is Thomas Quik. Despite his gruesome acts of dismemberment and cannibalism, he is the most obedient patient in the mental hospital. Having committed over 30 homicides, he is about to be released without charges. In 1990, Borgvall was caught. The Swedish court sent him to Söder Mental Hospital. Borgvall, lacking research value, was an outsider, enduring therapy and morphine. He was sentenced to more comprehensive treatment at the Söder Psychiatric Hospital. This verdict opened the way for Borgvall to fame, and also laid the groundwork for the biggest scandal in the Swedish judicial system. During the admission assessment, doctors revealed Söder Mental Hospital has its own values. Lacking research value, Borgvall remained an outsider, enduring therapy. He liked memory recovery treatment. He found listeners, helping him understand who the hospital valued. As he recalled his past, his therapy sessions increased. He realized integration might not be hard. He learned of his release next month. Not wanting to lose attention and medication, he decided to reveal a long-held secret. During the treatment, there were people who listened to him and cared about him. And he could also take the opportunity to understand what kind of people were considered worthy of research in the eyes of the hospital. When he tentatively remembered his bad childhood, the frequency of talk therapy was successfully increased, and Borgvall realized that it might not be difficult to integrate into the new world. Meanwhile, Borgvall learned that he would be released next month. He didn't want to lose the attention and medication he had just gained, so he decided to reveal a long-held secret. The next day, he met Professor Norell, the key figure at the mental hospital, for the first time. Norell sat by his bedside, showing genuine concern for Borgvall, and attentively listening as he talked about his memories of killing. Norell removed the barriers for Borgvall and allowed him to visit the library weekly to search for his past memories. After the police heard his testimony, the discharge date was indefinitely delayed. He even gave Borgvall 1 day a week to go out to the library, allowing him to search for his past memories. As for the discharge date, after the police heard his testimony, it successfully turned into an indefinite delay. A month passed, and Borgvall began to sense the disappointment brewing in Professor Norell's eyes. He started to mention another victim, Thomas, and openly admitted that he was the first victim he killed at the age of 14. Borgvall's confession led to a mutually satisfactory outcome. Norell frequently entered the ward to encourage Borgvall, and when he was on the verge of breaking down, he promised to increase the dosage of medication to help him recover his memories better. Questioning helped Borgvall's memory improve. He recalled his father violating him and his mother after a miscarriage, forced to consume the deceased. He remembered wanting to piece together bodies like Wang Di and Simon. He recalled murders in Sweden, Norway, Denmark and Finland. Remembering victims, Borgvall became the infamous serial killer Quik in Sweden. He remembered wanting to piece together bodies. He recalled murders in Scandinavia, with victims, children, couples, tourists. Over 10 cases. Borgvall, once a robber, became Quik in Sweden. Quik reached a pinnacle. Norell anticipated more details. The doctor was attentive. His records vast. There were more than 10 dismemberment cases in total. The former ordinary robber Borgvall became the most popular serial killer in Sweden, Quik. Quik reached the pinnacle of a new world. Norell anticipated more crime details. The doctor was attentive. His records summed all patients. Daily, more sedatives satisfied his cravings. Quik symbolized therapy success at Söder Hospital. When old cases resurfaced, the public awaited his answers. At crime scenes, experts waited for evidence. A larger quantity of sedatives was delivered to him every day on time by the nurses, satisfying his cravings. Quik's existence symbolized the great and advanced success of the memory recovery therapy at the Söder Psychiatric Hospital. When old unsolved cases are brought up in the news, the public is always waiting for his answers. At the crime reconstruction scene, therapists and experts patiently wait for him to recall the evidence. Regardless of the time he made his statement at the police station, the police would hint at the correct answer. And the experts were not surprised at the wide range of his murder targets. They know that the Söder Psychiatric Hospital never keeps idle people. Quik's confession came with private cars, private jets, steaks, cigars, and fine wine. In Quik's suite, he could go online, watch TV, and read his favorite books anytime he wanted. You know, Sweden always respects human rights. One day, the new attending physician, Dr. Golan, walked into Quik's room and called him Borgvall. Being in the spotlight always comes at a cost. Waking up in the middle of the night, panic attacks, breakdowns, and fainting spells were all part of Quik's normal life. But Dr. Golan never needed Quik to please him with memories. He was always there to listen and understand. Because of this, Quik was able to speak openly about his true childhood, being ostracized as an outcast during his teenage years, and his repeated offenses related to drug addiction in his young adulthood. He paused to breathe amidst the police station, courtroom, and crime scenes. Having support was invaluable to Quik. His memories made headlines as unsolved cases. When Quik erred in statements, he was corrected, especially if key evidence was missing. Moreover, he was unable to resist the charm of the tranquilizer pills. Therefore, Quik's recovered memory continued to become a mystery news. Quik was corrected. He insisted on his confession. Professionals stood firm. It's okay, Quik will still insist on his confession. Throughout the 1990s, the medical professionals, police, and prosecutors formed an impenetrable barrier, shielding Quik from the scrutiny of the media, society, and the families of the victims. At 6 in the morning in 2013, Bogvar was pacing in the inner courtyard of the secure psychiatric ward at Catlore Hospital, a habit he had maintained for 23 years. Most of the time, his headphones played the morning news, allowing him to eavesdrop on the old world he had been separated from for so long. Today, he was listening to an old song that always made Bogvar reminisce about the days in his life when he was treated like a normal person. The nurse brought Bogvar's attention back. After the millennium, the memory recovery therapy championed by Professor Norell was proven to be nonsense by countless papers and examples. Dr. Golan became the new backbone of the hospital, and he firmly stopped Quik's favorite sedative pills. In 2001, Quik announced in the newspaper that he would stop cooperating with the prosecution for 8 months. The difficult process of drug withdrawal finally awakened Bogvar. Now Bogvar is set to return to the world he once knew with a not guilty verdict. In the extorted Quik suite, all that was left was a pile of books, and he was facing life imprisonment. Golan and Bogvar slowly walked out of the inpatient department. For the first time, in 23 years, the sunlight shines directly on Bogvar's feet, without being filtered by high walls. Bogvar was found not guilty due to evidence. At Catlore Hospital, he reflects on his struggle and his lover. This evidence strongly overturned Quik's previous conviction. He considered ending his abnormal self, but realized post-treatment his lover was truly dying. The judge saw it as a mental illness. Despite his lover's disability, Bogvar was acquitted. He once wanted to kill his abnormal self, but when he woke up from the drug substitution, he found that it was his lover who was actually dying. The judge only considered it a mental illness caused by wrong sexual orientation. So, although his lover was permanently disabled, Bogvar was found not guilty. Bugle said, "I never thought it would be so easy to become a murderer." Gran looked at him and replied, "You know, Sweden always respects human rights."